I've been using Samsung's Galaxy S22 Ultra for just about a week now. Is it still worth it 3 months later? Whether you're looking to upgrade from a Note series or from an iPhone to Android like I did, I'm gonna tell you some things that I really like and some things that I dislike about Samsung's newest flagship. I usually go for the biggest phone in a company's lineup, specifically the iPhone. When I was buying the iPhone 13, I was looking at getting the 13 Pro Max, but due to the pandemic, it was really hard to find one, so I ended up going for the smaller little brother. But I love having a big screen. Whether it's watching videos or playing games, there's just so much more to enjoy on a larger display. And I actually found myself using the 13 Pro less because it had a smaller display. This is not the case with the S22 Ultra, however. You're gonna love the 6.8-inch display on this thing. It is massive, 120Hz OLED. It looks so beautiful. Now that I've got this display, I wouldn't trade it for anything smaller. I found myself getting lost in content. I found myself playing more games and watching more videos just because of the size of the display. And I actually found myself using my phone a lot more. Obviously, one bonus of having the large display is it gives you a big writing area for the S Pen. Now with less latency, it really does feel like you're writing on a really slippery piece of paper. I'll be honest, I didn't think I would use the S Pen as much as I do since I've never had it on another phone. But it actually does come in handy for work orders at my job. Like, I no longer have to carry around a pen and paper. I could just open this up in the morning, write everything that I need to down, and I'm good to go. Which is perfect for me because I'm an extremely forgetful person. I always misplace the notepad, but I'm never gonna misplace my phone. Some people will use the S Pen all the time, and some people will just set it and forget it. But at the end of the day, I'm really glad that it exists because having the option to use it is something that I can't complain about. But how long does the battery last? I was really anxious when buying this phone because I figured it wouldn't hold up compared to with what I've been spoiled with by the iPhone 13 Pro. Though I find for the most part that it's actually either on par or better with the 13 Pro throughout my day-to-day. I work at a dealership, and without going into too much detail about what I do for work, let's just say I stand on my feet all day. Typically, a standard workday for the S22 Ultra is continuous streaming of Spotify over 5G, whether it's podcasts or music, and using Notes app and writing down my work orders with the S Pen. Sometimes I get to sneak in a little bit of YouTube, TikTok, or doom scroll on Twitter throughout the occasional break, but this thing lasts the entire 8-hour workday and then some. By the time I get home at around 4 p.m., I still have anywhere from about 60 to 55% battery life. This might not sound like a lot, but I was struggling to maintain around 40% on the iPhone with that heavy usage. I don't have an outlet readily available for me at work, so I need something that can get me through my day-to-day, and I'm really glad the S22 Ultra is something that can keep up. A little side note, I did notice the battery life wasn't that great for the first couple of days, but I found out it's because Samsung was trying to optimize the battery life depending on my usage to know what apps to suspend and what apps to stay active. And I'm able to get 7 hours of screen on time on a regular day, which I think is absolutely amazing. So I have zero complaint. Though this is not a 2-day battery. Because it's Android, it's just less optimized when it comes to screen off time. Now, you do get a good amount of screen off time, but I wouldn't say that this phone is something that I can comfortably leave in my pocket for 2 days and not worry about having to charge it. Because at nighttime before 11:30, when I go to plug it in, it's about 10 to 15% remaining, which isn't bad at all considering I wake up pretty early. Can we just talk about these cameras for a second though? I mean, the last time that I daily drove a Samsung was the S10 Plus, and it fell short hard. The video was smeary, the images lacked any substance and looked blurry, and within apps like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, the camera was just a screen grab and you lose so much detail. I found myself having to take a photo and then uploading it. I couldn't just send photos straight through the app. I'm really happy to say that that is not the case with this phone. Every single first-party social media application that I've used takes an image natively from this phone, and that is great because these cameras are no slouch. The thing is, the 13 Pro wasn't a bad camera, and most people will say that it's actually one of the best in a smartphone right now. And for a quick point and shoot, pick up and go camera, I kind of have to agree, the iPhone's camera is absolutely amazing, but these things are just so feature rich, you have way more to play with, and you can just get whatever shot you want on these things. On this phone, you get an ultra wide lens, a wide lens, a 3x telephoto, and a 10x telephoto. The 10x is actually incredible, and it allows for digital zoom up to 100x magnification. You want to take a photo of the moon? You quite literally could with this phone. Though I'm by no means a camera expert. Though if you did a blind camera test, you might actually end up preferring the vibrancy that you get out of the S22 Ultra. We've talked about the displays, the battery, the S Pen camera. None of these matter if the overall experience on the phone is garbage. So how is it from a general user perspective? I would say that people with iPhone are spoiled by reliability and stability. You may not get super exciting features year over year, but you get a phone that lasts and it does a great job at keeping up. In my honest opinion, I feel like the S22 Ultra is no different. Apps load super fast, the phone is super responsive, and it just worked, which is honestly all I can ask from a phone. Though let's keep in mind that it wasn't really until recently that you can expect this kind of stability from an Android phone. Even the Pixel 6 Pro, which uses Google's own Tensor chip and Google's own software, is still a buggy mess to this day, despite being launched around the same time as the iPhone 13 lineup. But that being said, my experience with the S22 Ultra has been nothing short of amazing. Keep in mind though, I was lucky enough to get a Snapdragon version of this phone, which actually does make a noticeable difference not only in performance, but in battery life. If you're one of the unlucky few where the Exynos chip is the one that is in your country, I haven't had any experience with that, so I can't speak on behalf of it, but the Snapdragon is actually amazing. Do note though, and this is something that's not very obvious, is if you're getting the 128GB version, just be careful because it only has 8GB of RAM. 8 gigs of RAM sounds like a lot in a phone, but Android isn't a very well optimized operating system, we all know that. And having more RAM, like the 12 gigs found in the 256GB version and up, allows for more apps to be, open and not suspended. So it makes performance just a little bit snappier and doesn't force all your apps to close randomly. So the phone's great, but what don't I like about it? My complaints with this phone honestly are way less about the hardware than they are the software. I feel like there's a couple things that are very nitpicky, but I feel like hold it back from being the perfect phone. One UI 4 is great and it's beautiful, it's polished, and there's a lot of features that I find myself using. But there's also a lot of bloat that just simply is not needed. Why do I need a gallery app and Google Photos when they both do the exact same thing? Why can't my Samsung apps update via Google Play instead of the Samsung Store application? For every default app on the S22 Ultra, there's a Google and a Samsung version, like Messages and Messages? Both of the names are the same and the icons are identical, but Google's Messages is the one that you want to be using. When I moved the data from my iPhone, I used Google Photos to download my photos from my iPhone to the cloud to back it up so that I can download them here. But in most applications, if you're sharing a photo, sometimes you get only the option to use Gallery instead of Google Photos to browse from your device. And normally that wouldn't be a problem if I can just easily download my Google Photos to Gallery, but I literally have to individually select every single photo and hit download to be able to save them to this phone. I'm pretty sure this wasn't a problem before because I remember doing this on the S10 Plus, but now in the Google Photos app, it just looks like you can't do it. So I have two photo applications with two different gallery sets, and it's kind of confusing. Another thing that I've learned to dislike about this phone is the biometric. Don't get me wrong, the 2D face unlock is actually amazing and I've had zero issues with it. I also like that I can pick between not only a passcode, but a pattern, but I have to use fingerprint to be able to use Samsung Pass to save my passwords. I have 3 security methods set up now. I have fingerprint, I have pattern, and I have face unlock. Why do I need 3 security methods to be able to use my phone? Now, granted, it doesn't really matter because I could just look at my phone and it unlocks. So I almost never have to use the pattern unlock on my phone, but I actually had to go out of my way to disable fingerprint from working within the lock screen just to be able to use it for my passwords. I didn't have the option to use pattern or face unlock to be able to use Samsung Pass, and I don't understand why. If I'm using biometrics on the phone, let me use that biometric for other applications. Like the iPhone, if I have Face ID, Scotiabank and all my applications use Face ID. Why do I need to have other biometrics? It just doesn't make any sense. It just seems like there's so many hoops to do a simple task. I get it, you know, it's security, your fingerprint is pretty secure, but if I use a 5x5 pattern grid or a 6x6, it's exponentially more secure than using a fingerprint. So why don't I just have the option to do that? Now, those are nitpicks because honestly, I don't really have a complaint about the hardware of this phone. It's honestly amazing, and if you were thinking about picking one up, I think it's genuinely a no-brainer. I would do it without any hesitation, and I think you're gonna be super happy with the phone that you're getting. Thank you guys for watching my video on the S22 Ultra. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like down below and consider subscribing because only 5% of you guys watching are subscribed to the channel. What is going on? Just hit the button, man. It's really not that hard. If you like what you're seeing, stay in the loop. I would really appreciate it. But that's all. Thank you and peace out.